reading books, he gained knowledge and wisdom. But not only did he gain it, but he spread his wealth. He spread his knowledge. And I
Yes.
feel like that's what's stopping us black people right now from, reaching the top, is because we always want to keep what we have instead of spreading it. You feel
Yes.
me? Like I feel we need to be more, and this is what the classic teaches. Is in the book.
Yeah.
It's written in the book. Frederick Douglass did it, and that's what led to him taking many slaves out of slavery.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I feel like us black people, we need to do the same damn thing. Excuse
Yes.
my French.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think another part of it is that the classic shows us that the way things are wasn't the way that they always have been.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they kind of show you that, like, I think John Henry Clark always talks about this kind of this long form view of history, especially in this idea of kind of contrasting this idea like our only history is slavery and everything beyond that is nothing. That's not history. That's nothing part of that.
Right.
You have to go all the way back to Egypt. Like if you read I read this paper for one of my Black Studies classes about like the history of Black Studies, and like the beginning of it was like pretty much like freedmen in these schools just looking at like the classics, looking at the Bible, and from there they're able to kind of learn about Black people, African people before slavery.
Yes.
So like that was able, why that it's like literally Black Studies is descended from people who just looked at that.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of a big thing. So like for like what like Prince was talking about, a lot of the reason why people want to do that is because of this, they have this kind of this mentality that's informed by capitalism where, I have to only think within myself.
Yes.
Or I have to only think about how to make sure that I provide for myself.
Right.
But like when you look at the classics in general, you're able to see other models.
Yes. Yes.
To inform other ways of kind of thinking about things.
Yes. Yes. It just broadens your mind and takes you outside of yourself. I love what you said about reading those ancient texts actually is what showed them. Like we've talked about Phyllis Wheatley, she was able to discover Terence the African and, all of the different characters in the Bible who she realized were Egyptian or Ethiopian. And this let us know that slavery or enslavement or captivity was not really our heritage. It's a part of what happened in our story, but that's not who we are. And I worry about classics being taken away from Howard because of just having those roots and it being taught in this really inclusive, welcoming way, Yeah. So it opens our eyes to that we are a part of the human story. We all have been taught. I think we all identify with each other. K-12 education, right? We were not taught that we were a part of the human story. We would sit in our classes. Even if you go to a regular public school, most textbooks, even if it's an all-Black school, do not tell our story. All we know is we marched in civil rights or we were enslaved, as if that's our story. And that's not really who we are. Those are things we had to do to get back to who we really are. But enslavement and oppression is not our story. And classics helps us get out of that because we go back to before those things happen and recognize that's our story. And then when we reclaim, and see, that's really Sankofa. Classics helps us carry out Sankofa. Go back and get it, not go back to your slave ancestors. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I honor my ancestors. My grandparents, my great grandparents were slaves, and I honor all they went through. But that's still that's not my heritage. That's just something bad that happened to us in the story. But that's not who I am. That's not who you are. We have to go back beyond the Middle Passage, beyond to just even the continent of Africa, because before that we were all over the place. We were explorers. We were in America. We were selling the seven seas. We were building pyramids. We were doing science and medicine and ruling and reigning. We were considered fierce people to be afraid of. That's who we are. And so I want to go back and get that. I want my students, my children, to go back and get that, come back up in, push on through the oppression and the enslavement, because yes, that happened to us, but that ain't our story. That is not who we are, and bring it back, reclaiming who we really are. Classics helps us to do that.